Hola muchachos, buenos días, good morning. Hoy es el 14 de mayo, año 2020. Today is the 14th, okay? So, el 14 de mayo, año 2020. Very good, everybody. So, I hope you guys had a great day yesterday catching up with your work. If you don't have any work to catch up on, hopefully you enjoyed the day because it was really nice out. And today's supposed to be really nice out today. So hopefully you guys don't have too much work today and you can get outside and enjoy the day. Okay. Couple of things before we get started with the lesson. I just want to announce a couple of things. First of all, just look over here on the left side for any upcoming assignments. You do have exit ticket number 4 is due tonight by midnight. So make sure you just, if you haven't done exit ticket 4, just make sure you do it. Because remember, I don't mind if you pass in work that is late, I will count it, but you can't get full credit for it, or basically you can't get 100% on it. You can only get up to a 70 on Google Classroom. So it is a good idea to hand in those assignments on time. I do give you plenty of time to do them. And again, if you don't have, if you can't turn them in on time, and you send me an email, then we can discuss it. But basically, you don't want to pass these in late because even though the grading system changed on Power School, just remember that if we were in the classroom, your actual grade would be what you have here in Google Classroom. Okay. On Power School, because it's remote learning and we understand it's a little difficult for everybody, and because of other reasons, we changed over the grading format. But just remember, if you want a real window or a preview of what your grade really does look like, you can look at the grades that you're getting here on Google Classroom. Okay, so with that said, make sure you do exit ticket 4. It's due tonight by midnight. Also, if you have any other assignments, because this is also to help you out with Power School, if you have any other assignments that appear on classwork, even if you turn them in, let's say that you got a 60 on one assignment, okay? Make sure you're looking at the answers and revising your work so that you're changing that into like at a 70 at the most or something like that. So basically, if you get a 65 or below, you can always go back and change the answers, use the answers that I give you, fix your work so that it becomes like a 70 or something better. Because remember that when I change the grades over to Power School, I'm going to be looking for ones. Hopefully you have more than ones than zeros. If you see any zeros, it's most likely because you haven't either you haven't taken the test or the assignment yet, or I still need you to go back and fix it. Okay? So I'll be updating the grades on Saturday or this weekend, basically. All right. Okay. Let's continue. So objectives today. You guys will be introduced to another verb. This verb is tener, and you're gonna learn how to conjugate that one as well. We're gonna be using the similar system from chapter 1. So if you remember what that looks like, I can show you really quickly. It's gonna look something like this. So this is the verb ser that we did in chapter 1. And remember, we used the subject pronouns. You want to make sure you know these as well. If you need to go back, they are in chapter 1 grammar notes. But you can always just refer to these first. And then what we're going to look at is a chart that looks just like this. Okay? But it's for another verb. And it's the verb tener. So this is what it looks like. Okay? It's a different verb. This is the verb to have, like I have a house. Yo tengo. Okay? Notice how you have the subject pronouns on the left, just like we did the other verb. And this time you have the different forms of the verb here. Okay? So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to teach you how to do that. And hopefully doing chapter 1's thing is going to help you out for this. Makes it easier, a little more straightforward. Okay. Your do now is underneath here. I will have these grammar notes attached. So what you want to do is, if you can, for your do now, I want you to open or download, either or, the chapter 2 grammar notes for this lesson. So you want to have this little chart ready, either opened up on a tab on the side or downloaded onto your computer so you can reference uh, the notes as we go through the lesson. Today's directions are for you to watch today's lesson. It's on the verb. And then I want you to study the new grammar for about 5 to 10 minutes. So basically, what I want you to do is, for about 5 to 10 minutes, I want you to look at this chart and I want you to practice which one goes with which. Yo goes with tengo. Nosotros or nosotras goes with tenemos. You can cover up this word and try to figure out which one goes with that one, or you can cover up the verbs and use the subject pronouns and see if you can figure out which verb goes with which. Okay? And this is essentially almost like you can use this just to study for about 5 to 10 minutes. Almost use them like flashcards, okay? Um, and you'll notice the pattern as we go through it, okay? All right. After you do that, after you study it, so today is the first time we're going to look at it, so I just want you to look at the chart and try to study it for about 5 to 10 minutes, not too long. And if you want to do some optional work, I will attach a worksheet you can do. It's optional. And I want you to do sections A, B, and C. So this is, let's see if I can find it. This is it. This is what it looks like. This is the worksheet. Again, these are optional, but if you are doing the worksheet today, I want you to do parts A, B, and C. Okay? It has you practice using the verb, which form of the verb goes with which, so you can start to practice. And then tomorrow, to finish off this part of the grammar, you can do D, E, and F tomorrow if you're doing the worksheets. Okay? Those will be attached. So let's take a look at that verb, guys. I'm going to go into the book, and this is the book. I'm going to be using the notes here, the little note thingy. It's going to help us take some notes. So before I start the lesson, just remember you can always pause the video, rewind it, go back if I go too fast, or if you need clarification. If you're still confused after the video, just send me an email and I will be glad to help out. Okay? All right. So, el verbo tener. We're going to talk about a verb today. This one is tener, to have. Number 1 says, you will use the verb tener a great deal as you speak Spanish. So yes, just like we use that verb to be, I am, you are, he is, she is. It's used a lot in Spanish. This is another verb that's used a lot, to have, all right? If you want to say you own things or things are yours, okay? So we've been talking about houses and family members. You can say something like, I have 2 cousins. Yo tengo dos primos. So that's why it's handy to know this verb. It's used a lot. So study the forms of this verb. So basically, this is that chart I made for you in the grammar notes. Nope, not this one. This one right here. Okay? So remember that it looks really, really similar to what's in the textbook. 6th grade, you have access to this, so you can always use the textbook. 7th and 8th grade, just use my grammar notes because essentially this is what you want to know. Okay? All right. So as I study the forms of this verb, you can pause the video and just look at it for about 5 to 10 minutes. I apologize. Look at it for about a minute. Okay. Just familiarize yourself a little bit. At least get yo tengo down. O ending, O ending. Okay. Number 2, you use the verb tener to express age. So yes, in Spanish, this is one of those things that is a little different. When you say how old you are, you're really saying how many years you have. So let's talk about this. Ready? When you ask a question, how old are you? Okay. In English, think about it. It's how old are you? But in Spanish, let's read this question. It says, ¿Cuántos años tienes? In Spanish, the mindset's a little different. It's how many years do you have? There's that word tener, okay, the form of the verb to have. Cuánto is how many, and then you know años from the date. How many years do you have? So how many years do you have since you were born? Basically is what you're asking in Spanish. So, ¿cuántos años tienes tú? See if you can answer the question by yourself. Ready? ¿Cuántos años tienes tú? So you might want to start with yo tengo, I have, yo tengo. See if you can remember the number, okay? 12, 13, 14 años, okay? For example, see if you can guess how old I am. Yo tengo 30 años. ¿Cuántos años tienes, Mr. Pérez? Yo tengo 30 años. See if you can figure out how old I am. And then they answer this question with yo tengo 14 años. I have how many years? What's 14? Hoy es 14. 14. So this person's 14 years old. And then mi hermana, my sister, menor, younger, my younger sister, tiene 11 años. How old is the younger sister? 11 years old. 11 años. Okay? Let's practice. By the way, you might want to have this ready for these questions. So here we have this little part that says use the photos to tell what Antonio has and what the Ayeribis have. Ayeribis is probably a last name. So Antonio, what does Antonio have? Look at this little guy right here. What does he have? How do you say cat in Spanish? Gato. So you might want to write something like, oh, and these notes that I'm about to write here, these are optional. You can either take out a piece of paper right now and do it on the side. You can pause the video and do it on the side to practice, or you can just watch me do it, okay? Let's practice. Antonio, I want to say Antonio has a cat, right? Now, I want to say Antonio has a cat. I'm going to write it in English first. Now in Spanish. Ready? Antonio has, to have. So I need to go back and, ooh, hopefully that didn't delete it. To have. Now, Antonio's a boy, and it's a he. So there's the word for he. Él tiene. So if I go back into my notes, and of course they're erased, okay? Antonio has a cat. Antonio tiene. Notice how I'm using this form of the verb because it's a he. Tiene un gato. Okay, all right. I wonder if I can lower this one. All right. Well, I'm going to post it here. All right. Have this ready next to you so you can refer to it. Okay. Here we go. This one's talking about a bicycle, the next one. All right. So, Antonio has a bicycle. How do you spell it? Oh. All right. Now. Wow. Wow, Mr. Perez. There it is. I think that's how you spell it. Antonio tiene, because it's still he, una bicicleta. Okay? Notice the form of the verb is tiene. Él tiene. I can literally write él tiene una bicicleta. All right? And then he has a house, right? So, Antonio tiene una casa. Antonio has a house. So for these three sentences, I used this form of the verb, tiene. He has. Okay? Now, why did I use that one? Because we're still talking about Antonio for all three of these. Okay? Él tiene un gato. Él tiene una bicicleta. Él tiene una casa. Él tiene. He has. And now we're talking about a group of people. This is a family. So, los ayer. It is important to know which form of the verb to use. So, let's change the last name to the Smiths. Okay, the Smiths would they be I, you, he, she, we, or they? It would be they, right? It would make sense. They're a group of people, so you know it's on this side of the chart. And let's see, they. Now, which one of the, it doesn't really matter which one of these three you think of. I mean, technically it is ellos because they're a group of people, boys and girls, so you would have to go with ellos. But all three are going to use this form of the verb, tienen. So when you make a sentence, notice the spelling, tienen, okay? Let's write what they have. Oh boy, these little note things are really... All right, so the Ayerbi family has a dog, right? The Ayerbis, a weird last name for in English, right? In Spanish, it's Ayerbe. Ayerbe. The Ayerbis family has an apartment, and the Ayerbis have a car. An odd picture for a car. Okay, we're going to translate these three into Spanish. You're going to notice the same pattern, okay? So, los Ayerbe, and what was the form of the verb that we saw? Tienen. Tienen un perro, okay? Because this is they masculine, or just they, this is the form of the verb we're going to use. It's different than the last sentence I made, all right? The Yerbis family has an apartment. Tienen un apartamento. And the last one. Los Yerbes tienen un carro. So again, notice that for all three sentences, this is the form of the verb that we used. And why? Because the Yerbes, that family, is they, all right? They have a dog. They have an apartment. They have a car. They have, okay? All right. Let's continue on to the next section. It says practice the conversation with a classmate. We're just going to practice. I'm going to read the question and the sentences, and you're going to practice after me. Take turns playing each role. Pay attention to the changes in the forms of tener. So this one is just for you to see which form of the verb they use, okay? Again, you might want to have this ready to reference. So, Pepe, ¿tienes hermanos? So, practice with me. Ready? Pepe, ¿tienes hermanos? So you're asking Pepe the question. So what you're really asking him is, do you have hermanos? So Pepe would be you. Do you have? All right. So let's see. Does this form of the verb go with you in Spanish? Yes. Okay. Pepe is a friend. That's why we're using this form. Tú and then tienes. Okay. Sí. So he's answering. Sí. Tengo dos, un hermano y una hermana. Practice with me. Ready? Sí. Tengo dos, un hermano y una hermana. So he's answering. Now he's answering, I have two, like I have two siblings, a brother and a sister. I have. Remember in Spanish, you don't need the I because every single one of these goes with a different pronoun. So the one that goes with I is tengo. Let's check. Yo tengo. Yes, yo tengo. And in the sentence, they didn't include yo. They just said tengo. And you can do that. And again, why? Because in Spanish, each one of these is different. You can't do that in English because they're repeated. In Spanish, they're not. So, sí, tengo dos, una hermana y una hermana. The same person's asking Pepe a question. ¿Cuántos años tiene tu hermana? ¿Cuántos años tiene tu hermana? La hermana. Remember, it's still talking about Pepe. So tú tienes, tú. Okay? And then he's answering, mi hermana, my sister, tiene 10 años. Y mi hermano tiene 16. Okay? Now, here, the sister is a she. She has. The brother is a he. He has. So we have here, she has 10 years. So she's 10 years old. And how many years does the brother have? 16. 16. If you go back, okay? Él tiene, ella tiene. He has, she has. Okay. ¿Y tú? ¿Cuántos años tienes? So Pepe's asking I'm assuming is a girl or the classmate. And you, how old are you? How many years do you have? ¿Cuántos años tienes? Tengo 16 años también. I'm 16 years old as well. Mi hermano y yo somos gemelos. My brother and I are twins. Okay? Okay. Um, this expansion we would do in the classroom, and this we would do in the classroom as well. So we're going to skip right over to the rompecabezas. And all we're going to do is see if you can figure out which form of the verb to use. Okay? Now for this one, what I like us to do is I'm gonna read it and we're gonna do 1 through 5. Okay? This one you might want to do off to the side for practice, okay? So let's do it. Ready? Remember, you can pause the video if I'm going too fast. So, complete the sentence with the correct form of the verb. ¿Cuántos años tiene Alberto? How old is Alberto? All right, so, yo blank una familia grande. This sentence is saying or wants to say, I have a big family. I have a big family. So which form of the verb have would go with yo? You can use your chart. Use your chart. All right. I already know them, so I'm gonna write the answer, but use your chart, okay? So for number one, pausing point. What goes in number one? Yo tengo. Not tango, tengo. Very good. Number two. Yo blank 16 años. Remember in Spanish it sounds weird, but it's just a little different. I have 16 years, or I am 16 years. So, yo, pausing point, should be the same thing, tengo, because the subject is still I have, okay? Yo tengo. Now, mi hermana Reina, blank, 22 años. My sister Reina has 22 years, or she's 22 years old. So, this one you might want to think about for a second. Reina is a sister. So you have to think about, is it I, you, he, she, we, or they? What is Reina? Reina is a she. So she has. Look at your chart and which one goes with she. She has. Pausing point. Tiene. She, ella, has. Tiene. Ella tiene. Okay? Let's go back. So we have yo tengo, ella tiene. The next sentence. Los gemelos, the twins, have 14 años. They're 14 years old. The twins. So this again, you have to think about, what are the twins? Are they I, you, he, she, we, or they? Pausing point. The twins would be they. They have. They, ellos, tienen. Okay? Tienen. And the last one. So, where to go? Los gemelos tienen 14 años. Okay, number 5. Susana blank 10 años. Who is Susana? I, you, he, she, they, or we. She, ella tiene. Susana tiene. And number 6, mi hermano Roberto has 7 years. He's 7 years old. Pausing point. And it would be he, okay? Just like Reina was a she, Susana's a she, Roberto's a he. Él, you're still going to use tiene. So we go back and tiene, okay? Those are all the 6 answers for this one. Si el total de los años de todos los hijos es 100, ¿cuántos años tiene mi hermano Alberto? Oh, I don't know the answer to that one. Let me see. Hold on. Los gemelos. Oh, okay. I see why this is a puzzle. See if you can figure out the puzzle. So everybody in the family has 100, but they're asking about how many does Alberto have. So how old is Alberto? So basically, you want to do the math. You want to sum up all of these years minus 100. We can do that right now. Let me see. So we have 16. All right. Let's do a little math, guys. Matemáticas. A ver. 16 más 22. See, she's got 22. Más 14. I wonder if they did individually. Interesting. Susana, 10 años. And Roberto tiene 7 años. Now, this is assuming that one of the twins is counted for. So let's figure that out real quick. Now, if you don't want to do this, you can just skip ahead. But I want to figure this out. Now I want to know. 38, 48, up to 62, 69. All right. It would be right. 69. And then, but that's counting one twin. So if we were to count the 2 twins, so 100, hold on a second. Let's figure this one out first. So 100 minus 69 is what? 31? Yeah, something like that. That's counting one twin. That's how old Alberto is. But if they counted 2 twins, because each twin is 14 years old, right? We would have to add. Now, this is assuming my math is correct, guys. I'm not the best at this. I'm trying to do it quick. So 783, I think. Yeah, 83. So then 100 minus 83 is equal to 27. 17? Yeah. So Alberto is either 17 years old or 31, depending on if they counted the twins once or twice. All right. I'm sorry, I did math at the end. I know. Matemáticas. But hey, we got to say the numbers in Spanish. Okay. 16, 22, 14, 10, 7. Okay. 100. All right. So that brings us to the end of today's introduction for this verb to have. I know the lesson was I spoke kind of quick through it. Just go back if you need to, okay? You do have other work to do if you want to practice a little bit. So make sure you study this for 5 to 10 minutes, and then if you want to do the worksheet, it is optional. You can go ahead and do it. All right, boys and girls, que tengan buen día. Que ustedes tengan buen día. See, I'm using the verb tener. Y nos vemos mañana, ¿ok? Cualquier cosa, if you need anything, send me an email. Hasta luego, muchachos. Chao.